We have answered the call. We are committed to a greater purpose.
We are fathers. Past achievements do not guarantee future success. We will prime ourselves often to navigate each new challenge.
We are capable, brave, and relentless.
We will remain undaunted.
2020 has been a really hard year for a lot of people, and it's been a challenging one for me, but 2017 was the hardest year of my life by far. I was about 5 years into building my men's travel goods brand called Rugged Material when I found myself in a really, really bad place, really in all aspects of my life. The brand was primarily a leather goods brand that I had built while I was still in college, and the reason I started it was because my father and grandfather were horsemen, and my dad still rides a saddle today that was built almost 100 years ago. And I was always really impressed with how long the saddle lasted, and I loved learning the skills of doing that leather work from my dad and from saddle makers around southern Utah. And so when I was in college, I had started this brand using those construction methods to make modern leather goods like phone cases and wallets and belts and briefcases. And the brand had done really well up until 2017. The problem was that I had been married for 2 years before I started the brand, and that whole time my wife was wanting to have kids, and I just kept putting her off, saying, I'm not ready with the business, I'm too busy, this is our baby, and we need to focus on it. And what I was really saying and thinking was, I don't think I can handle balancing a family and a startup. And then at the end of 2016, it came to a point where she was like, we have to start trying to have kids. I'm miserable, and she scared me to the point that I didn't know for sure she was going to hang around if we didn't. And so I finally gave in and felt like the business was decently stable. But then a couple of months after I told her that, we found out that we were pregnant, and then I started to see all of my sales crashing in the business. And I started to get really worried about the health of the business. And to make things even more stressful, I had a brand new investment deal going with an investor that had these sales marks, these sales figures outlined that I was supposed to be meeting every month, and I was way under. And that was causing a lot of stress because I didn't know how to handle that. But then to make things worse, I actually had this addiction that I was kind of hiding from everyone that I had picked up in order to cope with stress. And I had kind of shut God out of my life and was just going through the motions. My wife was still not real happy with me because even though we got pregnant, we were still really disconnected, and I was still spending a crazy amount of time in the business. I felt like I was losing grip with my employees and the brand, and not knowing where to take it since my sales were struggling. And then I just kind of looked down and realized I had gained 50 pounds. I was really overweight and wasn't feeling healthy or good. And all of that combined really made for a bad situation. I was extremely depressed, had a ton of anxiety, and the thing that weighed the most on me was, on top of all of those things, I knew I was going to be a dad, and that it looked like I was going to be a terrible dad. I felt like I wasn't going to be able to provide for my family, and I felt like I didn't have a grip on anything that I was doing, and it scared me so bad. It was was really terrible time and really scary for me. When I look back at it, it definitely wasn't a good recipe for a successful family start or for a happy family. It was more like the opposite. It was a recipe for a divorce and for bankruptcy and depression, and that's the kind of thing that pushes people to suicide. And I was struggling there. But the one thing that kept coming back to my mind was, you're going to be a dad. And I looked around at the other dads that I knew, looked at my dad and my grandpas and my father-in-law, and I knew that they had all overcome some pretty huge challenges at some point or another. And so I started to talk to them and ask about what they did when things got hard and how they handled things, and how they were able to balance all these different challenges, and they would give me advice pretty freely. And so I just took things one step at a time. I did really try to focus to get back in touch with God, and I felt some great motivation there. And between the motivation that I got from my belief in God and the encouragement and advice that I got from those great men all around me, I began to believe that I could turn things around. They helped me to realize that all of the issues that I was having were issues that I had created for myself, and that all of these things were my fault. But what that meant was I could fix all of these things. They were all kind of small things by themselves, but they compounded and turned into a bad thing. And so I was able to form a plan with their help and focus on one thing at a time and execute towards turning things around. And although I was still really depressed and had a ton of anxiety, I was able to incrementally make improvements. I was able to get back that discipline that had carried me through life until then. The discipline that I used to win mountain bike nationals and to start a business during college and buy a house during college and to, lead all these people who I employed and things like that. I was able to really dig in and overcome my addiction with the help of God and some great people. I overcame that and admitted it and addressed it. And then I was able to really dive into the business and simplify things and make a big pivot. And I was actually able to launch a new product before our baby was born that has been my most successful product to date. And all around able to improve and start to heal from all these wounds that I had caused myself by following through with the things that I was learning and taking these small steps to improve. And by the time that our first daughter was born, I had mostly pulled out of this and was just healing and starting to get a rest to breathe. And it was perfect timing to have a baby and enjoy that amazing experience of bringing a new life into the world, and to have my love for my wife rekindled by the love of our daughter and the successes that we're seeing as we work to turn things around. While I hope that I don't experience another year like 2017, I am very grateful for how intense it was, because it forced me to learn a lot of really powerful principles and put them into practice in my life. And after going through such a dark time and coming out stronger, I really got set on this trajectory of self-improvement and learning and being deliberate about what I do. And I have tried to continue that ever since then. And now that we're in 2020, I'm seeing so many people who are extremely stretched and struggling in all these different ways that I feel really compelled to just share my experiences and to share what I've learned and to take all of that information that I had kind of kept and organized for myself and give it to people in a way that will hopefully help them. I really think it was that combination of learning these powerful principles, putting them into action, having an accountability group, and being able to take things one step at a time that made the difference for me. And so I just want to share that with everyone that I can. But the thing that baffles me even still is that every single day brings new challenges, and it's very easy to stray from that path of progression and to let your discipline slip and to make some bad choices and cause new issues. And, you see it all through history and with people all around you, where someone can seemingly be on top of their game for a while and then all of a sudden just slip and go downhill. And if they don't course correct quickly, then it can cause major issues. Like I think from the Bible of David and Goliath, where David had so much faith and he was so strong in facing this giant that he was able to kill. And then they made him king, and then just shortly after that, he started to lose focus, and that was when the immorality crept in and where his kind of downfall began. And I see that with people today, where I've had some awesome men around me who, when I looked at them, I just thought, man, these guys really have it together. They've got an amazing family and a really great job and beautiful house and all the cars you want and everything. And then, I just seemed to blink, and one day everything's fallen apart for him. And whether it was drugs or adultery or just all of these different things that can creep in, it's pretty amazing how fast things can turn over on you. It's like life is like an escalator going downward that you're trying to run up. And if you lose focus and stumble, you lose a lot of ground. Or if you really fall, it takes you all the way back down to the bottom and slams you into the landing there. And that was kind of the main, thinking about this is the main reason that I wanted to start Primed Fatherhood, was just that I'm not an expert by any means in being a father or in improving yourself, but I have amassed a lot of information and I've got it all organized and ready to share. And so I feel like it's my duty to share as much as I can because of that escalator effect, where if we lose focus, we lose ground. As I was studying the role of fatherhood and thinking about this more and more, I was able to kind of put together a foundation of what it takes to be a great father. And as I thought of these 6 different principles, I realized that they made an acronym. And the 6 different principles are provide, refine, instruct, manage, engage, and defend. And when I realized that they made the word primed as an acronym, it was like a perfect fit, because that was really the thing that I was trying to overcome, was this issue with the escalator, where if you lose focus, you lose ground quickly and sometimes harshly. My goal here is to be able to share just simple tips, stories of success, stories of struggle, motivational items and principles that will help to keep all of us primed and ready for action. If you think of a water well, if that well doesn't stay primed, you don't get any water out of it. If you do prime it, then you get it to perform. And that's the goal with everything that I'm doing here, is to have short, powerful podcast episodes and videos that will help people to become great fathers and stay great fathers. And the reason I'm focusing on fathers specifically is because that's the role and the challenge that is most invigorating and hard for me. And I think that it's so critical for the way things are going in the world for more men to step up and answer the call of fatherhood. And I want to help as many people as possible to realize that fatherhood is not a futile effort. It is a very important and critical role in the family and in society. But on the opposite side of that, I want to help people to realize that becoming a father doesn't inherently make you a great dad. It takes a lot of work. It takes knowing the right things, putting the effort in the right places, and working on yourself to become a great dad. And so my goal here is to help people to understand that becoming a great father is a process, and that it's an achievable and very worthy and honorable goal, but that it takes having the right mindset and the right tools and the right info in order to do it. So I am also really hoping that we can build a community of men who want to be great fathers, because when I was struggling so much back in 2017, it was those men who helped me and taught me that made the difference for me. And I think that there's a lot of people who don't have that support group that need it. And so I would love to help to facilitate the growth of a community like that can really help other people through their challenges and hopefully help them to prevent the same issues that I caused for myself. So with this podcast, the goal is to record short and powerful episodes, both in audio and in video, and to broadcast them everywhere that you get podcasts, as well as to put them on YouTube. The main goal for YouTube is to let the community grow there. YouTube is building amazing tools for community. It's also easier for me to manage without getting distracted. So I would like people to go there. If you have questions, comments, arguments, debates, concerns, anything, please put it on the YouTube comments of the episode so that we can discuss it there. I'm really excited to share all of this with you. So if what I've talked about today strikes a chord with you, I would love it if you would take the time to rate and review the podcast wherever you're listening, as well as to subscribe on YouTube in order to help us to grow the community there. My name's Tyler Condi. I am a husband, father, entrepreneur, salesman. I love to shoot bows and guns. I race dirt bikes. I love all motorcycle related events and things. And so if you're excited about any of those, then you'll also get some bonus content around that as well. But really, I just want to take the time to help people to cover all aspects of being a father, whether it's relationships or career or personal health, whether that health is mental, physical, spiritual, social. I really want to help people to learn how to cope with stress better, and to be able to combat burnout, which is something that causes a lot of issues for people. I also really want to help focus people on preparing the family and the home for just all of the different things that threaten them. So I really appreciate you taking the time to listen here, and I hope that you'll go along for the ride with me. Thanks.